This I bought in Brassus at a garage sale thrift store. And this Ed in Las Cruces gave to me. So my plan is to, I'll save the hands. I should try to transfer the hands over right now and see if they're the right size, because I'm kind of betting on that at this point. And then I want to be very gentle about, there's a pry point. Here. But can my thumbnail do it? Yes. So now we're going to look at the issue of the sprung back. The front still has nice gripping. The back, let's take a look at the cleaning first. Could be different since it's a different movement. Oh, it's too big actually. Okay, so let's look at the second hand. Okay, so that's problem. That one's not fitting either. I guess now I need to use a hand press. I want to press down on this. Okay, so you see what I'm trying to do is just work it back out into slightly round shape again. Okay. So I do have some cutting broaches. So basically this is tapered. At one end it's very thin, and then at this end it's bigger than it needs to be. So after all that, I went too frickin' far. Now you know what the answer to that is. You use the staking tool and you flatten the metal out a little bit. You can see that worked. Still should be loose on the bottom, but once that part gets there, it should be tighter. That's good. Okay, so what we're going to try to do is unspring. What is going on here? That's where the pin goes. The crown's not going to be waterproof. Okay, so I think it's time to take this to the ultrasonic. The next thing I'm going to do is the dial. I have some soapy water. I'm going to try that first with a Q-tip. So that's, I noticed there's a hallmark inside here too somewhere. It's just a London mark right there. I know that's tiny, but trust me, that's the same mark as this mark, but it's a different size. It's about 1/4 as big. Okay, so I'm gonna close this completely. And you can see it's almost closes, but we're still a bit sprung right here. So my idea is just to use something gentle to pull this back. I'm going to do it a little bit to this side as well, right there. I got a snap opening it, but I don't think I'm going to get a snap the second time. Yeah, I did. Okay. So that was interesting. And next, I'm going to remove the dial washer. So I think we'll start with the balance to put it safely somewhere, because the balance is going to go back in the movement for cleaning. It's important to make sure that both pivots are there. So you can see one is hidden. You can see both pivots are there. You can also break the pivot on the pallet fork. You can also inspect that. Pivots are okay. We can get our, there was a little bit of power in it. Jewels look okay. I don't know what all that grinding is there. Since this was not running, I want to kind of be careful that I don't just, if it was assembled incorrectly, that could be why it wasn't running. So it could be like this drives this way. There's probably a click spring under there. I guess that's the click spring. This looks a little bit bent. So now I'm afraid to unscrew this, but I think that I would unscrew this. Should I try to pull the Canon pinion off first? I've seen better days. That's interesting. So you've got this, this, and this. And these things look like they're freaking handmade. Look at that. That's screwed into the stem release screw. Is there something wrong with this? Is that not a Canon pinion? That's screwed in still. Okay, so let's try that plate next. Okay, so a couple things. Set that aside for a second. I think in these old FHF movements, this piece doesn't want to come out. But these screws can come out. Okay, so that's the ratchet and the barrel. Now I need to try to get the mainspring out of this. That's a new one for me. Now you want to hold down one side like this while you pull this out. And then just don't let it fly. So it's going to want to go, but I'm not going to let it. Okay, now also take note, I don't know if this thing was in there correctly, to tell you the truth. I guess it was. That was up against this. So I guess that's the way that this should be in there. Okay. That's kind of the complete disassembly, except for not pulling out the Canon pinion part. The other thing is these things are so dirty, it's like shame to even put it in the cleaning machine. All right, so anyway, it's all going in the cleaning machine now. Okay, so I actually cleaned it 3 times because it was very dirty. And I took the balance out this last time and didn't clean the balance. I cleaned it in the first 2 times. So that looks pretty good. Now, I'm going to do the mainspring first. While the movement was cleaning, I dressed all my screwdrivers and the tweezers. So again, I can see the spring winds this way, and my hook on this is here. So I want my hook to go in and pull it that way. And with this, I just find it'll slip down in there like that. Now the key is not to let go. I need this tension to continue to pull in, but I need to help the bridle part get in there. So I need to push it back, put it under like that. Okay. I went too far, it came out again. Okay. I can just press this in. Okay, now the other thing I've seen people do is put some HP 1300 on the spring itself. The next struggle is to get the arbor in, and that might require rebending the spring. Because you can see you want the arbor to catch arbor needs to catch right there. There's no way to do this without kind of occluding what I'm doing with my thumb. So I'm pressing down and I'm trying to pull this back a little bit to get it around the arbor. Same thing here. Okay, now I want to turn it and make sure that any bend in the spring is going to still catch that point. I think that's going to be okay. I don't want it to slip off right here. Now, what's going to happen is it's going to turn until this is, remember this is a manual wind watch. So as this turns, this point is going to move, it's going to slide around here until it hits this stopper right there. And then it's going to tighten after that. So what I could do to make sure that's going to be okay is I think I'd rather just put the top on it. I was going to try to do it open so you could see, but basically I'll put the top on this. And then we'll test it. So, oh, there's something I want to show you here. I didn't notice this before, but basically, you can see that says Swiss. But there's also, this is Fontmelon, FHF Fontmelon. It's an arrow going through an apple for William Tell, the Swiss hero. And then it also says on this side, brevet, or just says it Swiss flag. But this is the patent number 51482 and the Swiss flag. So I didn't see that before, even though I did look at this part of the... So that means this is a... I already knew that, but it confirms FHF movement. Okay. Oh, there's something I want... Okay, I just wanted to finish that. Now, the next thing is to look at the Canon pinion. I'm worried about how loose this is. So this is a kind of thing, before I put the Canon pinion on there, I could use the staking tool to close that a little bit. I have to put it on a stump, and then I have to hammer it a little bit with a punch. So first I should center my staking tool. Place that stump. Look at this for the theory. So you see that this stump goes right in the center. And then I'm going to punch down on that to close that hole a little bit. So I think this punch will spread the metal out a little bit. Push it in. See what happens. Didn't stay centered. Also, that affected it more than I thought it would. Okay. The reason I'm doing all this is to experiment, to understand. I know that this is how, these are the processes, but obviously being new to this, so let's see, I want to try to share with you what I did. So this is the Canon pinion side, and this is the gear side. So I'm going to Well, let's look at the gear side. Because the thing to check is if I reduced the hole size, as that was the purpose. So you can see this gear sits up like that, and actually that shaft goes into that hole, and it was loose before. Now that did make it tighter, and not too tight. Put some HP 1300 on that. Okay, that's too tight. The other thing about the tightness of that is that it's tight probably because the edge is a little bit burred from the hammering, more so than because the entire hole got smaller. But what I can try to do is pick a broach. I don't know if I have a broach that big. Okay, so the other way to do this is to find a punch. So the idea here is that I can just push the side of that I hammered that may have got pushed in too much. I can push it back out a little bit with this. Okay, my sense is that that's enough. I'm going to put a tiny bit more oil in there. Got to put those broaches away. Is that the right side? No, yeah. Okay, so that's good. Now, I gotta put the Canon pinion back on. So I think I'll use the casing cushion for this. Now the other thing is Canon pinion, you're supposed to use 9501. Okay, I believe now I can put the mainspring there. And then I need to put this bridge on it. It's going to go like that, but I got to put this screw setting. The stem release screw needs to go in. Okay. Am I forgetting anything under there? Don't think so. And then this one is shorter. I remember that goes there. I always wonder for like 3 screws like that where one is shorter, why don't they just make them all 3 shorter? Now the click. Okay, so now I can put the, I think it's called the ratchet wheel. Guess that's correct. Now, when I was disassembling it, I stripped the reverse threaded screw here, so I'm replacing it with a bigger one that I already found in my spare parts, and I just used the screw to tap the soft brass. So this is already tapped. Since the screw is larger, I didn't have to deal with the loss of material. Fix-a-drop is the same thing as epilem. So I'm going to put the whole pallet gear there. And then I'm going to try to just do the stones on this. That's interesting. I ordered some watchmaker paper, but I don't have it, so that's just going to rest. Now, I tried to avoid getting epilem on the pivots here. I have to say that pivot looks bent, the bottom one. But in any case, this guy should be okay to go in. So the idea behind the pithwood is that you use it to clean, to take the epilem off the pivots. Might as well do this guy too, just in case it got it. Hard to believe that that does anything, but that's what I learned. Okay, so now the pallet gear. This way I can also see if everything's good with this guy spinning freely and not having end shake. I think that's good. Now that's fast spinning, so that's 90-10. So I'm going to put some 90-10 on this. And while I'm at it, I'm going to try to do the bottom. Now the interesting thing is to see what happens. That's pretty free to spin, which is good. Okay, so now I got to put the main bridge. Okay. Now, there was this pointy screw over here. Okay, so that's transmitting power nicely. Now, I want to put a little bit more and then I want to decide which oil do I put on this and this. I would say this is 90-10 and this is 1300. Okay, now I need to look at those jewels on the bottom. So it's going to be the opposite. It's going to be 90-10, 1300, 1300. 90-10 here. And this, because it's slipping around, I want to get it, make sure it's in the right position, and then hold it down while I put the screw in. This is what we want, but now the problem is the balance. Okay, the balance jewel. Here we go. This is the cap jewel and the screw. This cap jewel and screw. This spring is for the keyless works. So those go here. And that's going to be 90-10. Now the other jewel like that is in the bottom of the, or in the top of the balance. There's no glue, no glue, I always say that. There's no oil on the pallet stones yet. So let's see if that helps. Oh, actually there's this thing about let it run for a while to wear off the epilum. But since it's not going to run for a while, we'll just do this. You know what's not happening is the hour hand's not moving. So that's, I think that, perhaps it is, I just can't see it. Let me see if I can drive it from the hour gear. Is that failing to drive this guy? Okay, let's get some setting gears in there and see what happens. Okay. Now somehow I have to keep this pinned down while I lubricate this. I don't know why I use this blue 9504. I think the only way to do this is going to be to actually trap it with the plate, not with the tool. So that means get the plate ready. And then push this. Okay, hand setting and winding. Could it be that I'm ready to put the dial on that thing? No, yeah. Lovely. Okay, that is it. Okay, so now I think you have to look at where that pin is. The pin is there at 530. Oh, thank God there's no date mechanism. I don't think I can handle that at this point. Stern Cruise MDT 191, 19.1. Now, if this is not enough, if it's not tight enough, I'll switch. I have a 19.2 also. I feel like these finger cuts are too dirty to be dealing with this right now. No, I can't tell. Is that? That is perfect. Holy crap. So that's it. That was the coolest thing I've ever done. The coolest. Because that thing had so many problems, and they weren't just me. They were real problems.